Let's bring in Florida Congressman Cory Mills. Cory, how about these visitor logs? We were told the Secret Service didn't have anything. Now they're saying they do, although it's partial. They don't have any names from 2017 to 2021. But partial is better than nothing. They say that they are willing to hand over some information if Congress requests it.
Well, Carly, I find it very odd that he would say that he doesn't have any visitor logs, even though you have Secret Service, who definitely would not just allow people to come through without being able to check and see if they were on a certain list. I know from going to Mar-a-Lago multiple times that when it comes to President Trump, the Secret Service have an entire file and log. And in many cases, before you can even come in, you have to provide your Social Security number and other things like this. So, look, the president or vice president has continued to try and say that he just improperly filed it. Well, first off, I don't know anyone who improperly files top secret or classified documents in your car's garage. So that in itself is already problematic. We don't know who was exposed, what was exposed, how many people actually saw it, whether photos were taken, was it given to a foreign source. There are so many things that is wrong with this, and that's where we need to get to the bottom of it. And I can promise you, Congress will end up requesting these logs and get to the bottom of why there is top secret classified documents that could compromise operations or individuals that are sitting there in a garage or a Biden UPenn office.
When Joe Biden says he has no regrets, does he truly think that he did nothing wrong here? Is this posturing? What do you think?
Well, I don't think that he really cares. And I think that's the problem. He wants to talk about climate change. He wants to talk about what, the upcoming plans for his America Last agenda are. He doesn't want to talk about things like the fact that, while President Trump could have declassified his documents, at the time, Joe Biden was a vice president, which means he could not have declassified his documents. And I find it such a hypocrisy that the left and other media sources are not absolutely jumping up and down on this, but also noting the fact that why didn't this get uncovered prior to the midterms? Remember, these documents were found before the midterms. It was completely covered up. Again, the same thing that we saw with Hunter Biden's laptop. So there's a lot to unpack right here. But the biggest thing is to look at the hypocrisy, the compromise of potential operations or individuals, and also the fact that he just carries on as this was just improperly filed in my garage.
What do you think is ultimately going to happen here? The popular opinion is nothing. And, I could see this slipping out of the news cycle, then 9 months down the road, getting quietly resolved somehow. What do you think?
Well, I would say that with the new chairman, both Jim Jordan in Judiciary as well as for James Comey are over in Oversight, I don't see this just slipping through their fingers. I also want to point out the fact that now with the church-style committee, the subcommittee that is headed up by Judiciary and Jim Jordan with regards to weaponization of federal government, we will start getting more answers on things that are being done improperly. And so I don't see the Republican Party or ourselves letting this go. I think that we need to get answers. We need to have transparency to the American people. But Joe Biden also needs to ask, why did I have classified documents sitting in a car garage that my son Hunter Biden or others could have been dealing with, which we know, by the way, that Hunter Biden has done business operations with China, with Ukraine, with others. How much of this classified information has been taken outside of the United States?
We also can't have two standards of justice based upon what political party you're in. That's another big key. We do have two standards of politics when you compare New York and Florida. And as a result, more New Yorkers moved to Florida in 2022 than any other year in history. Look at these numbers. Almost 65,000 Big Applers flocking to the Sunshine State. Cory, Congressman, why doesn't New York fix the problems that force people to flee? Instead, what they do is they double down on the horrific policies. Makes no sense.
Well, look, Todd, it's like I said, even during my campaign, I said, this is people who are voting with their feet. They are tired of this, attorney general or this mayor or these governors in New York and California who have a soft on crime, catch and release, no bail reform, and criminality is going through the roof. Taxation is going through the roof. Look, make America Florida. We know, like Governor Ron DeSantis has said multiple times, that Florida is where woke goes to die. This is the last shining beacon, I think, outside of states like Texas or other red states that have actually shown that they're willing to stand for constitutionality. So, it's not uncommon that people will try to flee. We're seeing the same thing from California, Texas, New York to Florida. But this is the first time Florida, and now with over 500,000 plus people, we have more registered Republicans in Florida for the first time than ever in our history. And it's because people see what we're doing here and they're utilizing it as kind of the beacon of freedom.
Beacon of freedom. Florida. We'd go if we could.
I wonder if it's hard to find a house there.
It is. It's not easy.
Yeah, it's got to be.
It's great 78, 80-degree weather as well.
Stop it right now.
Yeah, now you're just rubbing it in.
Now you're rubbing it in. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
We got a big show for